Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.
Hey, welcome to The Long Road. I'm your host, Kris Roberts, and we got a few current event type things going on. There seems to be quite a big panic about the possible government shutdown in 3 days. Two of the big issues that the Republicans are going for. Three issues. One of the senators from Kentucky, he is upset that the President Biden wants to spend another $6.7 billion to Ukraine, and he figures $100 billion is quite a lot of money. And we should not be sending any more money to Ukraine. The Republicans in both the House and the Senate, especially the House, they won't support any funding bill unless there's a major funding and emphasis on controlling the amount of people that are coming across the border illegally. And so that is going to be a tough sell. And so I was reading and watching a number of our major news outlets, and they were saying a lot of things that were not factual, but were not lying, but they knew what they were saying wasn't the truth. And they were talking about how, just when I was coming in, the radio was saying how the government shutdown will affect Social Security and veteran benefits and things like that. Well, even if the government shuts down, you will still collect your Social Security payments because Social Security is not included in the government's budget. It's a standalone. It will be continue collecting money from everybody that is working, and will still be paying out. The veterans part has been taken care of. The veterans will still receive their disability compensation. Veterans will still, wartime veterans will still receive their pension. The widows of wartime veterans who require aid and attendance will still receive those. Whether the government is up or down, those items will continue to be paid out. Okay, SNAP or food stamps. Okay, even if the government does not, the government shuts down, the SNAP pot, the agriculture pot, does have money left over, and so they would be able to issue out the food stamps for a while. WIC, which is for women and infants, that give them the ability to buy extra food that would help the woman recover from a pregnancy and the baby to grow healthy. They have money available, but what I was reading, they said they would only have 3 or 4 days of money available if there's a shutdown. Some other outlets say they have a larger amount of money and would they be able to last a longer time, depending on the shutdown. So basically, all essential people that work for the government, air traffic controllers, TSA, border patrol, things like that, they will still work. They will not get paid until the government signs off on a continued resolution, or if they agree to a regular budget. All the non-essential people will go home and they won't get paid. But if it's anything like the other government shutdowns, if the government shuts down for 3 weeks, the people stay home for 3 weeks, and then when they get back, they'll get paid for all the lost pay. If you're in the military, of course, you just can't get up and leave, but you will not get paid, and then once it's passed, you would get back paid to recover. One of the things the military people should be getting paid this Friday, because Saturday and Sunday, Friday is the 29th, Saturday is the 30th, and the 1st is a Sunday, so they should get paid this Friday, and hopefully the government shutdown, if there is one, wouldn't last 15 days, because that's when the next pay cycle would come up. So it could have an effect. For some people, there'll be no effect at all. For a few people, there will be an effect. And so that's what will happen. One of the big sticking points on the Republican side of the House and some more and more Democrats is the uncontrollable number of migrants that are coming across the border, coming from the north, coming from the south, east, west. Other ones are getting visas and overstaying their visas. And so, again, that's causing serious problems. The mayor of New York, which I was talking about last week, who said that, hey, you're all welcome, but when everybody showed up, he wasn't too happy. And so right now, the city of New York has 113,000 in its city's care, nearly 60,000 who are asylum seekers. So 53,000 are illegal, who got across the border, were not checking in. So of the 113,000, 53,000 are illegal. 60,000, nearly 60,000 are seeking asylum. And it's talking about right now, about 10,000 migrants continue to arrive in New York City every month. one of the problems is the mayor of New York, Mayor Adams, tried to force all the surrounding communities and communities up north of northern New York to take the migrants off his hand. They refused. He wanted the governor to force the communities. They refused. She refused. So what the mayor of New York has decided to do was for the migrants, he's going to say what he just said, okay, migrant, you are no longer a migrant. You are a New York City resident and you're homeless. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give you a voucher, and you can take that voucher any place in the state of New York, and you only have to pay 30% of your income, and the taxpayers of New York will take care of everything else. So say you make $2,000 a month, and you're renting a place for $1,500 a month. So what he's saying is, okay, we got this voucher. You'll pay $600 of the rent, and the taxpayers of New York City will pay the other $900 a month. So we're going to see how that's going over. Because if, say, I'm the city of Troy, New York, and I go in and the mayor of New York gives the voucher and 20 families move up to Troy, New York, and the mayor of New York City is saying, we'll pay the 70% over and above what they have to pay. And you would go, wow, but there's also a darker side of it. It costs over $20,000 per child to be educated in the New York school system. So if I have 20 families and they each have 2 children, that's 40 children. And with 40 children that don't have to go to the schools in New York, that's over $750,000 of school funding that the city of New York, the taxpayers of New York, don't have to pay. But if they go to Troy, New York, at a lower price, that means Troy, New York would have to come up with about $500,000 to educate their children. So that's going to cause some really nasty stuff as people argue, and it's just going to happen because you got the sanctuary cities, you got the people going there, and now the sanctuary cities say we don't want the people, we're overloaded, and what we've decided that non-sanctuary places have to take the people, even if the people are in the country illegally. And so, but one of the things that President Biden did earlier this week, he said every Venezuelan that was in the country before July of this year will get temporary protective status. What does temporary protective status means? They can't be deported. They can, for example, they can get on a plane, fly to Venezuela whenever they want, get on a plane and fly back to the United States. They can apply for work permits. They can apply for Social Security cards and receive a number of other benefits. According to the government records, the average time someone under temporary protective status stays in the country is about 20 years. And so again, with temporary protective status, you cannot be deported or you cannot be put in Border Patrol or Immigration's detention center. You can be arrested if you committed a crime and things like that, but you're still kind of protected in a number of ways. And then the question is, okay, some of the people may qualify for welfare, some of the people may qualify for health insurance, and some of the things just snowball. But there's over 7 million Venezuelans that left Venezuela and live in Colombia and live in Mexico and Central America and other Spanish-speaking countries. And if they go and say 472,000 are now protected, okay, what is the effect of this protective order going to do if I'm a Venezuelan living in Colombia? I would say it's pretty good that I'd want to take my chances and come to the United States and go under asylum. And it works. And the other thing what it was showing is of the migrants that have been going to New York City, 65 to 70% of them have been Venezuelan, because Venezuelan has a big Venezuelan community in New York City. We've been talking a lot about New York City. City of Chicago's having its problems. It's got crime. It's been these mass, kind of like what Philadelphia had just the other day. Massive people come in, smash windows, grab stuff, look at expensive places, and going. I was watching the video of looked like kids, older teenagers, just smashed through the windows of the Apple store, running in, grabbing every single Apple product that was in there, ripping out the iPhones, ripping out the laptops, the whole works, just stripping it bare. Chicago's had that same problem. More stores are closing down. The city of Chicago is saying, wait a minute, we can't have some of these places with no grocery stores or whatever. Now the mayor of the city of Chicago is saying, hey, maybe the city should run its own grocery or supermarket chain so we can have stores around. Well, if people are stealing from Walmart and Target and these other stores, what gives the mayor the idea they won't grab and run if the city owns the stores? In Chicago, record number of migrant buses arrive in Chicago in a single day. Between Saturday and Sunday, the city received 12 total buses, including 7 on Sunday alone. On top of the 12, we had 16 early in the week, So a total of 28 buses and 24 flights, plane loads of migrants landed at O'Hara. They get 2 plane loads from San Antonio daily, and San Antonio is a Democratic-controlled city that is totally overwhelmed. Data shows, the new data, since the end of August 22, more than 15,000 migrants have arrived in the city. As of Monday, 8,930 migrants remain in city shelters, while another 2,011 migrants await placement. Of the waiting placement, there is 1,635 migrants at Chicago Police District offices. There's 360 that are still at O'Hara International Airport and 16 at Midway. What's happening, Mexican officials are telling migrants to avoid mountain and deserts, not worth it, so they're going through a couple of passes. The assistant deputy chief of the city of Chicago says there are 2 things in particular. The city doesn't have control over the number of buses and the frequency they're coming to the city, and what the federal government desires to manage the flow. The federal government is because they got in a lot of trouble and a lot of complaints because they were detaining people. So now they come across, they pardon them and send them and say, wait for a phone call before your hearing. Since August 2022, the city says 280 buses have arrived in Chicago, including 59 this month alone. Buses come from City in Texas, Del Rio, Eagle Pass, El Paso, Laredo, Brownsville, McAllen, while several others have arrived from Denver, Colorado. The Texas cities where the immigrants are being dropped off are being overwhelmed. And basically, they're asking the immigrants, where do you want to go? And they line up the buses to where they want to go. There is Denver. Denver is being overloaded. They're saying that we can't handle it. We can't even handle a homeless problem. And with all the migrants coming, Denver's saying, hey, any of you migrants want to go to someplace else? You know, Chicago and New York are offering better deals. And so they get up and go. The other part, where in New York City, a lot of Venezuelans are already working. They're working under the table. Again, the deputy chief of staff says the city has seen situations where children have been left alone as parents have gone to work, and their concerns for the safety, especially when the young children are sleeping on the ground. The city quietly signed a $29 million contract with God of World to erect, staff, and operate tent cities. And so it's causing a lot of hate and discontent. It's expensive. So a lot of these leaders in the cities are, whether it's Boston or New York or Chicago or Denver or Los Angeles or San Francisco, which are all Democratic controlled cities, been doing this and saying, yes, this is really kind of beneficial, but now it's overwhelming. They see no end in sight. They see it getting worse. Now they're trying to figure out, how do we pay for this? But the local people are saying is they're paying for this by cutting services to us. It's a problem of their own creation, but it doesn't look like there's any solution. Because what we're doing is, for a lot of the migrants, the places that they're staying in, the service they're getting are a heck of a lot better than what they were used to living in. So there's the problem. It's going to get much worse before it gets better. And without a law being passed, which is going to be attached to the funding bill, we may have a government shutdown, and we may have a government shutdown for quite a while. Now, let's move on to some of the other things. We'll do some military, and we'll do some veteran stuff. Okay, this was published on August 9th, 2023, basically about 7 weeks before the end of the fiscal year. The Marine Corps and the Space Force are going to meet their recruiting goals for this year again. The Marine Corps just has that esprit de corps. It's like, if I'm a Marine for life, and you just have that about it. You know, I'm a little biased, but yeah, I'm a soldier, I'm an airman, I'm a sailor. Well, that's good. You served your country, and that's good. That's something you should be proud of. But as Marines, have no problem with you being proud of what you've done, what you've accomplished. But we're smaller, we're better, we have higher standards. And so there's a lot of men and women out there, young men and women out there, that want to be tested. They want to achieve something. They want to know the standards are not going to be reduced. You're either going to make it or you're out. And kids want that. They want it. They don't want something that mom and dad's going to give them or whatever. They want something to be achieved, and something that can be a lifelong pride thing. So the Marine Corps and the Space Force, for the second year in a row, are going to make it. The Space Force, it's a different level of people that go into the Space Force. And because of the intellect and because of this, they want to go in. The Army expects to be 10,000 short. That's almost the whole division. 3 regiments, 9 battalions. That's the equivalent of 9 battalions that the Army can't fill. And last year, it was 15,000 it couldn't fill. That's like 15 battalions. So if you stop and look at it, the amount of people they didn't get last year and this year, that's 24 battalions, 8 regiments. That would be 2 to 3 divisions of combat soldiers. That's how big those losses are. Last year, the Army had to shrink its size because it knew it couldn't fill. And they short 10,000. Even the Air Force that people used to go in is going to be short another 10,000 people. And the Air Force just said they're slowing down their promotions. Means people are going to get out sooner, or people are not going to go. The Navy is going to be 6,000 short. What's 6,000? Okay, you go take the new supercarrier, the USS Ford. 6,000 is like every man and woman on that ship just disappeared. It takes, when you look at the air crew, you look at everybody on that ship, that's about 6,000 people. That's how much shortage it is. Okay. 17 to 24. I read today they were looking in that the people that would be available, 56% of the kids, young adults, whatever this generation is, whatever letter they give, are overweight. Okay? What we did about 10, 20 years ago, you know, we used to have the President's Fitness Reward. We used to have other things. But we said, you know, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Why should Johnny and Susie work really hard and get the Presidential Fitness Award? You know, if we can't give the award to everybody, let's not give it to anybody. Okay? The people that would have made it and do what they need to do that, oh, if they join the military, they join the Marine Corps. Plain and simple. We're not doing any of these kids a favor. Oh no, we can't say anything about Johnny or Susie being overweight. I saw some kids at the graduation, high school graduation last year, and going, oh, they're morbidly obese. And they're saying there's nothing wrong with it. Don't hurt their feelings. Well, you can be morbidly obese, and the college will take you. The college will charge you $100,000. Okay? What's your chances of getting a good paying job? No, a lot of highly competitive jobs. You got to be fit and trim, and you got to go. The number of people are so big that are obese, morbidly obese and everything, is that the city of New York is passing a law that it would be, you could not discriminate against people that are overweight, obese, or morbidly obese. But I can go, wait a minute, why would I want to hire a bunch of morbidly obese people when the statistics show they're sick more often, and when they're sick, they have more expensive claims. So my insurance claims and my premiums are really high, and that takes away from my bottom line. So we're not telling the kids some of the factors that are going to have negative effect on them later, because we don't want to hurt their feelings. We don't want to, ruin their self-esteem. Well, self-esteem is earned. Again, like the Marine Corps, self-esteem, self-respect, self-confidence, always earned, never given. And so we're hurting these students. And right now, between 17 and 24, only 23% of the kids, boys and girls in there, will qualify. 77% don't qualify to become Marine officers, in the military. 66% say they don't want to join the service because of possible physical injury or death. Okay? When you look at the amount of people that get killed in the service and stuff, far less than the number of people that get killed in auto accidents every year. Far less than the amount of people that die in drug overdoses every year. Possibility of PTSD or other emotional and psychological issues. Read a report that over 60% of the kids in college have emotional and psychological and other mental health conditions. 55% say they don't want to leave their families or friends. Oh, I guess you're going to grow up and stay living at home, maybe in mom's basement, or stay in the same city. 47 said they have other career. 38% don't like the military lifestyle. Required to live in places I don't want is 33. 33% of a long commitment. 4 years is just too much for them. 32% don't want, it may interfere with their college education. Even thought they can get a college education while they're in the service, and the military pays for it. My grandson's in there, and he's already got 3 courses out of the way, 9 credits, and he hasn't had to pay a single penny. He has to buy books, but that's about it. Possibility of sexual harassment and assault, 30%. Well, 30%, you have a much higher chance of getting sexually assaulted and stuff in the while you're going to college. Veterans, look at the numbers. In 1990, 33 years ago, there was 27.5 million veterans. In 2000, it dropped 1 million down to 1.1 million, down to 26.4. Okay? From 2000 to 2010, It went from 26.4 to 21.8. And from 2010 to 2022, it's dropped down to 16.2 million veterans. So veterans, we have less people going into the service, and the number of veterans that are dying off really quick. And to give you an example, Gulf War veterans 2001 or later is 4.1 million. Gulf War from 1990 to 2001 is 3.9. So 50% of the veterans are from 1990 to present. Vietnam era, 5.6 million veterans. So if we go, the Vietnam era ended in 75, so that's 25, that's 48, and 19, we'll make it 18. So the youngest Vietnam era veteran is 66 years old. So we've got a number of, and there's some overlap in between these. So Vietnam veterans, 75, it is not unusual to see them at 75 or 80 years old, because a lot of the action was from 66 to 69, and so that's 31, 54. If you were in Vietnam in 69 and you went right and you were 19, you would be 73 years old. The Korean War, down to 800,000. That was in 2021. World War II was 182,000. When you look at 182,000, that may seem like a lot of number, but there was over 16 million people that served in the uniform during World War II. In 2021, the veteran unemployment was 4.4. The percentage of veterans in the workforce was 76.5. The median income of veterans was $44,000. Okay, the median income in the United States is about $35,000. The percentage of people working in the United States is about 60%. And veterans, we feel sorry for veterans. Veterans are hopeless. Veterans are homeless. Veterans are PTSD. Veterans are drug addicts. Far from it. The veterans are much more productive. They're much more successful. They earn more money. They're just better. So when they go and say, hire a veteran, the company is, they're not suffering any losses. They know they're going to get a good quality individual. Okay, when we go in below the poverty level, veterans are about almost half lower than the normal population. You know, college degrees, veterans have about 33. 1 out of every 3 veterans have a college degree compared to 2 out of 5. And veterans, again, have lower unemployment. So veterans have a lot to offer. When we talk about, do we pay to help veterans? Is veteran services there? The veterans have a great mental health system. The VA has a great system for homeless. There's a lot of things available for veterans. And one of the things you have to look at is, just because you were in the service does not make you a veteran. That's right. Just because you were in the service does not make you a veteran. After 1982, to be a veteran, you have to serve 24 consecutive months. Okay? If you're not discharged for medical reasons, which makes you a veteran, if you're going to Paris Island and you're running off the bus, you fall and smash your face, and you're medically discharged with less than 30 days, you're a veteran. That's a service-connected injury. Okay? But if you're discharged for misconduct, drug use, theft, sexual harassment, sexual assault, especially under 2 years, you are not a veteran for VA purposes. For any purposes, you are not a veteran. If you get a dishonorable discharge, you get dismissed, you're never going to be a veteran. If you get a other than honorable, under less than honorable conditions, or other than honorable conditions, you can get VA services, but only for things service-connected illnesses or injuries. You won't get paid for it, but you will get treated for it. So a lot of times when you say, oh yeah, I'm homeless veteran, you know, when did you serve? What's your discharge? Well, I got busted. I got caught using drugs 3 times, and they gave me the big chicken dinner, a BCD. Oh, well, you're not a veteran. Normally, when you get the bad conduct discharge, it's because you've committed at least 1 or 2 or more felonies, and you were sent up to a court-martial. Okay? So, to be able to get VA services, you have to be a veteran. Unless you got injured on active duty, and the VA will take care of the medical requirements. So, a lot of times when you talk about homeless veterans and things like that, yes, you don't want anybody to be homeless, but these were mostly men who did not meet the requirements to earn the title of being a veteran. For example, you want to tick someone off, call someone an ex-Marine. If you're an ex-Marine, that's because you got the big chicken dinner, the bad conduct discharge, or the dishonorable discharge, or if you're an officer, you were dismissed from the service because basically you've messed up and you were stripped of the title Marine. So you do not call an honorably discharged or a general discharge Marine an ex-Marine. Do we take care of our veterans? Yes, we take care of our veterans. Okay, in the fiscal year 2020, we spent $249.4 billion on veterans. Okay, that's right. Basically $249 billion, which comes out to every man, woman, and child were taxed $752 each to help veterans. And this is in constant dollars, inflation adjusted. In 1980, when we had pretty close to 30 million veterans, the American people spent $78 billion. In 1990, almost 27 million veterans, $67 billion. 2000, $81.5 billion. 2010, almost doubling to $147 billion. In 2020, again, $249 billion. So when you look at it, in 1978, again, inflation adjusted, 30 million veterans, the American people spent $78 billion. 1990, with 27 million veterans, $67 billion. In last year, in 2020, $249 billion for 16 million veterans. In 2019, okay, it's a little bit higher now. So it would rounding up where it's going. About 29% of all the veterans, basically pretty close to 1 out of every 3 veterans, is between 65 and 74. And so, again, when we were talking about the veteran population has declined by 34% since the year 2000, but the Veterans Affairs, the VA spending is up to 185%. Half of all veterans in the United States are 65 and older. The aging population, the total annual VA spending for veterans in 2000 was $2,700. In 2019, it was almost $12,000. And mostly all the money, 80% of the money that the VA gets is spent on VA disability and medical care for the veterans. And so spending for the disability program has quadrupled from $22 billion in 2000 to $85 billion in 2019. And so as the veterans are getting older, more and more veterans are applying for disability, and the types of disability are getting higher. For example, this year they added for all the Vietnam veterans hypertension. Okay, most of them are getting service-connected 0%. But what has happened is if I have hypertension and I have a stroke, which could be really serious, that becomes a secondary condition to hypertension. Well, hypertension pays nothing, but if the stroke is serious enough, it may make the veteran unemployable, and all of a sudden be homebound. Because that's a secondary condition, that the veteran would then be paid about $4,200 a month, or about $50,000 a year tax-free, and all medicine and all that other care would be free. So the people who qualify to be veterans and choose to use the VA system, which about 7 million veterans do not choose to use the VA system, the vast majority get really good care. Half the veterans that use the VA system do not have anything service-connected wrong with them. They get to use the VA system, excuse me, because they fall below a certain income level. So that was never intended, but excuse me, the American people have gone out of their way to take care of their veterans. They're doing a good job of taking care of their veterans. And again, where if you have a drug issue or whatever, it should be taken care of, but do not confuse VA treatment for a bunch of individuals who went into service and were shown the door for misconduct with the people that accomplished it. Second is veteran suicide. When you compare veteran suicide to male suicide, the numbers are quite different. Also, the number of veterans, the age of veterans committing suicide in their 40s, 50s, and 60s is increasing, just like it is on the regular non-veteran population. Every suicide is tragic. Every suicide hurts more than a heck of a lot more people than the person that committed suicide. So, in one of the last things, do not send your money to a lot of these organizations that are saying they're helping these veterans, because a lot of them spend a lot of money taking care of themselves and very little money going to the veterans. The American people do a great job taking care of veterans, and do not waste your money giving it to someone that's possibly trying to scam you. Guess my time is up. But be proud of the American veterans. You, as American people, you are doing a great job of taking care of them. Thank you.